afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Madam, for your introduction. And during the next 15 minutes, I will be presenting my thoughts on the topic as you have already seen. We all know that generally the navies are built on conventional mindset. The plans, the concept, the platforms, the manpower are all built on a conventional concept. However, we have seen in the Sri Lankan context that the war, which could not be won by conventional means, was won by some other means. So my endeavor is to share with you my findings on this very pertinent topic, although nearly 5 years have gone by. We know that when you analyze the world maritime insurgent forces, only a marginal effect has been felt on the rebel courses of action. However, when you analyze the Sri Lankan situation, we see a total different picture. In the Sri Lankan context, we have seen both the rebel forces and the government forces pledge almost fully fledged navies to fight with each other. The LTTE needed the sea lanes of communications to survive, to fight, and to develop their forces, and which they did for nearly 3 decades. And over the time, the Sea Tigers, I will use the shortened form CST, they developed into a highly capable and aggressive organization, and they were capable of operating in all domains of the maritime terrain. Suicide boat attacks, which was pioneered and mastered by the LTTE, was a potent weapon. But it was not only a weapon, it was also to drive a point that the Sea Tiger cadres were fearless in the pursuit of their Tamil Elam. And the achievement of Sea Tigers also helped to motivate the diaspora to raise funds, provide weaponry to the LTTE. And therefore, the Sea Tiger activities were rare by any standard that we have seen. Sri Lanka became victorious in the year 2009 by militarily, comprehensively defeating the most ruthless terrorist organization in the world. And I would argue that the Sri Lankan Navy's contribution was very significant in this historic victory. And I would still argue that in the 21st century, the Sri Lankan Navy is the most operational navy in the world. Although there were few instances where the navies were used, the Sri Lankan Navy had to fight a nearly 3-decade-long war at sea. And the Sri Lankan Navy's exposure to asymmetric innovations of the Sea Tigers helped it to transform from the status of a conventional force mastering unconventional tactics. Now this provides a great platform for research and a great case study. The LTTE, on the other hand, depended primarily on the sea routes for their logistics. They used apparatus of modern warfare to achieve this task. Disruption of the LTTE logistics at sea was a critical factor in the grand victory. Now the war that we had here seen a range of maritime operations which can be used by maritime insurgent forces. On the other hand, we also witness what the counter-insurgency or the counter-maritime insurgent forces can use to bear and finally achieve the victory. The dynamics of sea control was exploited by both sides with varying degrees of success. We cannot say that totally the sea was under the Navy. There were times that we did not have it under the Navy in some instances. Therefore, the normal state was not really a commanded sea, but an uncommanded sea. The LTTE had a very clear strategy for their sustenance and their growth. If I concentrate a little more on the LTTE Sea Tigers, they were the most ruthless guerrilla organization in the world. And they had well-tested capability for maritime terrorism. When you analyze the insurgent groups with maritime capability, no one come near LTTE Sea Tigers. They had a well-structured command organization. They had various types of attack, logistic, and interceptor and suicide squadrons. And they had international maritime capability with more than 15 merchant vessels flying between the key ports in the world. And they had been raising funds from many capitals in the world and using that money by way of money laundering to purchase their weapons. And also they were involved in maritime crime such as drug trafficking, narcotic drug trafficking, human smuggling, and armed trafficking. And they were pioneers in research and development. On the other hand, we can see that the Sri Lanka Navy evolved reactively than proactively. They, of course, in the process, they tested various concepts and they suffered many damages. They lost many platforms. They lost many lives at sea. However, they regained the sea control and defeated the LTT Sea Tigers. In my research, I have used 4 theories of maritime, in fact 3 theories of maritime warfare and 1 normal theory. The first theory is the theory of asymmetric warfare. I have a definition here: acting, organizing, and thinking differently than opponents. I will not read the entire definition, but the key point here is thinking differently. Now, this is a tactic that the LTTE mastered from the beginning, and they started thinking very different to the naval mindset, and therefore they became a force to reckon with. So I have used the theory of asymmetric warfare, and I also used the theory of sea control. Now there are many definitions for sea control, and I have flashed one on the screen. Capability to use an area of sea for its own determination and also denying the same to your enemy. That is the basic meaning of sea control. But we see that it was like a pendulum. It was shifting between the Sri Lanka Navy and LTTE Sea Tigers. There was never a situation where the Navy enjoyed total freedom at sea. So this theory I use. And the other one is the theory of operational art. I'm sure we all are familiar with the Sun Tzu's art of war. Now, operational art is basically not a science. The military science is there. You have force levels, you pitch one against the other. But how you employ them, how you design your operations, how you integrate them, that is the operational art. Now, when you look at from operational art, we see a lot of mistakes that we have been doing in the past. But now, of course, we can look back and feel happy because we finally won the war. I also use the game theory. That is basically, it's a game where there are 2 or more players, and then it can be zero-sum game. You know, one player's victory can mean the total loss of the other. Now, finally, what happened when towards the 18th May was the Sri Lanka Navy's victory at sea became the defeat of the LTTE Sea Tigers, which had ramification to the grand victory. Now, I have used these 4 theories, that is the theory of asymmetric warfare, theory of sea control, theory of operational art, and games theory to analyze the war we fought here. Now, I think as there is no similar case to be heard anywhere in the world, so this is a gold mine for research. And I believe no in-depth study done so far on this subject and no evaluations done. So therefore, it is a great case study. And the application of theory, we can now sit back and evaluate and see very clearly. So the methodology I use, this study was designed to examine the determinants of sea control. The study was exploratory in nature. And I use qualitative